Going to answer all of y'all's questions on how this works, how financing works, how land flows, how we save you money, give you all the details whether you're a new home or a remodel. So very, very glad to have you guys here. And then after, we've got a house that was built using the You Build It system recently, within like the last 3 months that is finished. So we'll be able to tour that so you can see what we can do for about 130 bucks a foot. Just a nice way to put a value to it, see it with your own eyes, and something that's recent to where we know the prices are still good, even with weird, crazy inflation we've experienced in the last couple years. All right. To dive in, I'm going to go ahead and just start doing this. Diving into You Build It. I'm going to flow a little bit quick here. Who is You Build It? We are the nation's largest construction consulting company. We have, golly, I'd probably say 34, 37 offices nationwide, which is phenomenal. We're very, very excited to have that. You Build It started in 1988 in Seattle, Washington. Our office opened here in 2006, and we operate the Oklahoma City and Tulsa office, so we have control over the entire state. So for any of you building in Stroud or in kind of in that middle ground, don't worry, we've got you covered. Northwest Oklahoma, it's one of our favorite places. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, there you go. I love it up there. Yeah. We spend a lot of oil money getting up to Northwest Oklahoma. It's a circle of economy right there. Yeah. Oh, come on in, no worries. So we cover the state. Only places that might be difficult is if you start getting halfway through the panhandle. I find after 3 hours, it starts to become a little bit difficult with subs and everything, but we can figure it out. The furthest we've gone to build a house in this office is Perryton, Texas, which is in the Texas Panhandle. So if we can do that, we can do ours. But, whew, it is not fun. Yeah, got a lot of windshield time. Read a lot of books on that tape. What we do is we provide professional guidance on being able to guide people on how to build their own custom home. We enable you to be your own general contractor. Now, our job is to be the system, the knowledge, the contacts, and steps that you need to be able to do it properly, on time, and on budget. Why use You Build It? Oh, hey, I get to press the button like multiple times. There you go. Truly, guys, at the end of the day, my biggest reason with You Build It, and the thing that I'm going to focus on always, is I want to make your dollar go further. With You Build It, my job is to get you more house for less money. Our job is to eliminate markup from a general contractor, subcontractors, anything within building, and enable you to pick and choose where you want to spend your money and get more for your money. So don't get us wrong. I'm not here to save you money by putting Formica in your house or doing bats insulation or anything. I want to have extreme quality because you also get to dictate your quality with the You Build It process. It is not me picking your features. The way we view it is I'm not moving in with you. I don't think you want me and my 2 kids heading in there with wife. They're young, they're loud, they wake up. Trust me. So we want you to have control over everything, pick and choose where you spend your money, and make sure it goes further. Then from there, the biggest thing I'd probably say, control. With the You Build It process, let me ask, has anyone ever built a house or done a custom remodel in this room before? Well, perfect. Well, look at you two. You guys look like you need some coffee mugs to go with your happiness right here, to encourage questions throughout the time, or participation. With You Build It, you will never have someone telling you, that's stupid, don't do that. Or, no, that's not how we do this. Or, no, I think you're wrong. This isn't done. This is done to standard. You get to pick and choose. You get to have control. This house gets to be built to your level of quality. It is not us hiring the subs. It is not us hiring the subcontractors or suppliers. It is you. And by doing that, we get a chance to do a lot of fun, unique things. I think we build probably the most concrete ICF homes in the state. I think we probably do the most walkout basements in the state, about 10 to 20 a year, because we like to show you your options and do the things that you're curious and looking at doing. So it's very, very fun. So you get to control your quality and what we actually build. You build it. We break it down into two systems, planning and construction. Planning, this is our bread and butter. Believe it or not, this is where 2/3 of our work will be done with you. Most of my clients have never built a home before. So to enable we do this properly, I have to make building nothing but executing well thought out steps. I want to make building nothing but project management. Will there be things that come up? Absolutely. We're coordinating 100 different companies over a 6 to 9 month window, and things can happen. Of course they can, that's what we're here for. But I want to know your house. I want to have it down cold before we ever start construction. Then construction, of course, self-explanatory. It's the execution of building the home. Planning. So planning, we have to go through these 5 pieces of the puzzle. I'm going to skip some of these. Woo! Does anyone have any catchphrases for planning? Stitching time saves nine. Hey, there you go. Thank you. Well, you look like you need a thermos. There you go. Yeah. The guys are going to go fast. You got to jump in. Yeah. Fail to plan, plan to fail. It is why we spend 3 to 6 months with you before we ever put a shovel in the dirt. And if you're not a big planner, we'll teach you to love it. There you go. So fail to plan, plan to fail. We spend a ridiculous amount of time with that. Now, to do it properly, we have to go through these 5 pieces of the puzzle within your build. Your first one being, the triangle's too early there, I'll come back. Budget. Can anyone tell me what I mean by budget at this stage? It's a great one. Thank you, thank you. You look like your coffee's getting cold too often. Here you go. There you are. Anybody else? Financing. You're 1,000% correct. Thank you, thank you. Here we go. We just got good ones. It's good for cold drinks too. Beer later tonight watching the game. There you go. Anybody else on budget at this stage?
Make sure you have enough money.
Absolutely. Yes. I'll get you something at the end. I don't want to throw anything back there. Yeah. Don't want to get sued. Yeah. The main thing we focus on at budget at this stage, because budget's in every part of planning. At no point during this process we're going to go, we don't care what we're spending, let's just get through it. What we mean here is, are you realistic? Can I get you from point A to point B? Example, if you look at me and say, Keegan, I've got 5 acres in Luther. I've got 5 acres in Piedmont, or 2 acres in Piedmont. I've got land in Slaughterville, south of Norman, wherever, New Walla. And I want to build a 2,200 square foot house, 4 bed, 3 bathroom, and have nice features. And I want to spend $110, $120 a foot. I'm going to look at you and say, we got all the money in the world. Done. Easy, easy, easy. Now, if you look at me and say, hey, Keegan, I bought a lot in the expansion of the Oak Tree neighborhood, and I want to build a 3,200 square foot house, and I want to be $135 a foot. I'd tell you where the other 150 grand is coming from, and I'd ask, because you're not realistic. Those homes are going for $300 a foot. We're good. I'll build it for 2, but we're not that good. So we just want to make sure that you're realistic. We can get you from point A to point B, and we're not going to waste your time or money and vice versa. Because trust me, going through planning and not being able to build stinks. There's no point. It's going to have cost you time, emotional energy, most importantly, money. It's going to have cost us time and money. So we want to make sure that we can go through planning. Then, yes, ma'am.
I was looking online to see where your locations are at. I saw that you guys had some that were close to Nevada, but you don't have any business
I don't believe we have an office in Nevada. I've got a few in California, and I think one in Utah now.
My land is in Nevada.
Well, let's have you buy a U-Build-It office. There you go. Yeah. Hey, I'm going to find something to sell you today. I promise you. Yeah, if I can't sell you a house, I'll find that. There you go. So, and then from there, is to hit your point, with budget, lending. Can anyone take a guess at the 3 things that we look for to make financing extremely easy? And I want to preface this. If you don't have this, do not panic. I will be able to still finance you. We've just got to be creative. But the 3 things that we look for to be able to make lending almost 100% guarantee. Equity's great, yes.
Credit history.
Credit history is phenomenal. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cash flow income, phenomenal. Pre-qualified, absolutely. Here for the dog. Oh, there you go. Whoops. Got to work on my arm. Haven't done that in a bit. My apologies. Absolutely. Those are all things that are correct. The 3 things that we look for that make it almost 100% guarantee. I'm going to let Doug come up here, who's one of our preferred lenders, and answer some questions in a second. Land. Do you own your property? And if you don't own your property, it's not a big deal. One of the things we do is help you find the right piece of land, and that's part of this puzzle here that I'll be getting to in just a bit. But land. And you can owe on your land, believe it or not. But it makes it extremely doable. Your next is 10% cash. My job is to build in enough equity to where I never need your cash. It's truthfully my goal. Can anyone tell me what equity is? Absolutely. Yeah, there you go. Difference between the cost to build and the cost of the value, or the appraisal. You're exactly correct. My job here, now I can't guarantee it, because if you look at me and say, Keegan, I want a 1,000 square foot house, but with 12-foot ceilings and vaults and cedar beams and a 1,000 square foot garage, it's all gone. And I can't tell you no, it's you build it. But my job is to help show you and guide you on ways we can gain that equity, gain that instant value. So number 1, your time was worth it. The time that you spent with you build it, because don't get me wrong, this is work. I do not wave a magical wand and 20% falls off the cost of your home. There you go. It's more of Doug's thing. I'll let him explain in a bit. So this is work. Out of the 20% or more that we will save you, you will be the one earning half of it with time, energy, reaching out, even if you want to, physical labor in your property. So I want you to have that instant value. Number 1, makes financing super easy if we have 15% or more instant equity, land and house included. But it makes it worth it. You look at it and go, the 10 hours a week it took, the 15 hours a week it took for 6 to 9 months, there was a value to it, and it enabled us to be able to build the home now and for under market value. The third is 20% equity in a current existing home. If you have 20% equity in a current existing home or more, that means you can always access 10% of that extremely easily through a HELOC, through a second, through anything, to where if you ever need any semblance of cash throughout this process, we've got it and we've got access to it, which is very, very, very handy. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know anything about like home ownership yet, but like on property, is there such a thing as like a construction loan you can get on a property?
Absolutely. And here, I'll let Doug, our preferred lender who does construction loans and mortgages for us, come up and explain the process of lending and construction loans with the U-Build-It system. Yay! I know. I'll be your cheerleader. I think you can. Yeah, we'll test it out.
All right, my name's Doug. I work with Highlands Residential Mortgage. We just opened up a branch here. I've been doing this for 20 plus. I quit counting after 20. And so I've done more, I would say probably, I can safely say I've done more, helped more people with their home construction on a custom home than any lender in Oklahoma. Part of that is because I'm so old and I've been doing it a long time, but it's predominantly what I do. This is my passion, is I love doing, helping you guys do this. Okay, but before I know if you guys are worthy to do this, we've got to take a little test. So in front of you, or next to you, is a sheet of paper, and I passed those out earlier to try to save time. Who doesn't have one, don't look at it yet.
Does everyone have a pen?
Don't look at it yet. Does everybody have one? You got yours? You got yours, right? You'll know what it is in a minute. Can't look at it yet.
There could be one underneath your foot right there.
Yeah, it's underneath the chair. You put some
Yeah, you got one.
There you go.
You got one of those? You guys? Here you go. Okay, don't look at it yet.
Anyone need a pen?
Need two up front of here too. Up.
Two, two, two.
And you don't have to give the pen back, you can keep it.
Well, hey, they're my pens.
That's what I'm saying, give them back.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, this is probably the only time that, you're probably gonna hear a lender say you can cheat, but if you're husband and wife, you can cheat. You got to put your brains together. Okay, so what we're gonna do is flip it over. We're gonna take a quiz that covers math, science, geography, religion, and art. So most of the big categories. So we're gonna take a couple minutes, answer the questions, and we'll see who is the champion and if we're worthy to be able to build a home with you build it.
The answer is unequivocally yes, even if you fail. Yeah.
And go ahead and guess. Don't just leave blanks. If you leave it blank, it's 100% chance that you will not get it right. Put something in there, there might be at least 99%.
We've talked about this before, we need to put the Jeopardy music on during the do.
We did talk about that.
We did, yeah. Have to remember.
Is anybody done yet?
Give them some time.
Look, you just draw a picture, the picture's there. You're just gonna write what you think it's a picture of. Just like back in school.
It is.
Being so quiet.
Can't believe you make people take a test on Saturday.
Some of these questions I had no clue. So I know the answer.
Well, don't say that, because it's gonna diminish your victory if you win.
We'll have to grade him on a curve. Uh-huh.
You're probably not gonna have idea what any of them are, but take a guess. And the dog can help you too.
That's great.
Matter of fact, on the third question, we might be able to ask the dog for the answer to that one.
On the bottom preview, just tell you
What
what
do
it
you think it is? It's like you're sitting in front of a psychiatrist. He's showing you the scar, you're saying, what do you see? So I'm your psychiatrist today. All right, just one more minute.
Funny.
30 seconds. Pressure.
Mm-hmm. That's funny.
Okay, everyone good? All right. We are going to pass papers to the, no, we're not, we're gonna let you grade your own work.
The honor system here.
Okay, let's go over these. Number one, okay, who was buried in Grant's tomb? Any other answers?
How about was question mark?
Question mark?
So is somebody else buried in it now?
I'm not saying who is buried in Grant's tomb.
Is Grant not there anymore?
Grant is not there anymore. Grant was never there. Grant's tomb is a monument, but he is actually buried in, I think in Virginia or something, at his home place. So Grant's tomb is empty. There's nothing there. So if you said nothing, then you get a point. Okay, but if you leave it blank, then you don't get to count the point.
There has to be something there.
All right. Matt, what two coins can make up 30 cents, but one of them is not a nickel? Boom. There you go.
One of them is a nickel.
One is a nickel, but the other one's not.
All
Got it?
right.
Now, does that make sense? Okay,
Good point.
all right, dog, what's the dog's name? Precious. Okay, how far can Precious walk into the woods?
There
Halfway.
we
You guys
go.
are sharp.
Yeah.
Halfway, or some of you guys should say. Once he goes in halfway, he starts going back out. So the farthest you can ever walk in is halfway. All right, science, let's move on to science. You're stranded in the North Pole, which sounds good about right now when we got 110-degree weather, but you're stranded in the North Pole in the middle of the night. You walk into the room with a match. There's three things: a kerosene lamp, a candle, and a fireplace. Which one are you going to light first to keep from freezing?
Guys, we got a sharp group today.
Well, they all had the same philosophy class with you. All right, the answer is the match. Did anybody not get that one right? I'm gonna have to make these questions harder. I've never had this many people know the answer.
There we go. We're getting smarter.
Okay, what word in the English language is always spelled incorrectly? Very good.
Goodness, Doug.
Okay, you guys, I'm sure you guys got this one. See, we are in the Bible Belt, so I have high expectations. How many animals did Moses bring on the ark? Zero. Noah did. Moses did not. So, for those who did not get that right, can go forward Sunday at church. All right, since you guys are so smart on the basics, you're probably not going to be smart on the arts, because usually people that are smart on arts are not very smart on the basics. Okay, picture number one. Who's brave enough to say what they think that is? Pizza. Cheese. Pizza. What? Asteroids. Flower bed. People on the beach, asteroids. Patio stones, good answer. You run back here, they only got the front row.
I put a square
Flag?
with dots in it.
A what?
A square with circles in it.
That's pretty,
You're not incorrect.
that's pretty literal. Anybody else? Okay, you get a half a point for that, free hugs. Okay, the answer is, and now, again, some of these other questions already, you've noticed that you read them, you didn't know what the answer was, but as soon as I told you the answer, it's like, ah, moment, you got it. You saw the answer after you figured it out. Okay, this is gonna apply a lot to these last three. Okay, number one, this is a giraffe walking by a second-story window. You see it now?
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Number two. Those are great answers. You're wrong. Those are great answers. Nope. Nope.
I said parking
That's a weird part of it.
I got a sideways stop light.
No. That is a Band-Aid over a, I can't remember this one it is, a spider or a bug, whichever one has 6 legs.
I don't think it has. I think it's
What
spider has
what
one.
has 6 legs, bug or spider?
Inside.
Bug. But it's, okay, it's a Band-Aid.
Hey, he got Band-Aid.
I got Band-Aid.
Band-Aid's a
Half
point.
point, half
Oh,
Half- You got a half right.
all right, fine. You're a tough critic.
Okay, the last one.
Donut.
And I actually did this one like years ago, before political correctness became something. So, but somebody give me a shot at what it is. That's a good guess. Mini goggles.
That's not a bad guess.
Fresh.
Yeah.
Olive on a toothpick.
That is, I hear that one a lot.
I got a hostess cake.
No.
It's delicious. It's a delicious guess.
All right, this is, I'm gonna say this answer slow, so I'm in good shape here. The answer is, it is a person riding, a bird's eye view of a person riding a bike wearing a sombrero.
There you go.
You see it now? Okay, now, real quickly, let's see, whoever had one or more right, raise your hand. Oh, come on, somebody, everyone got one right. Did you not get any right? Did you get none right?
We're gonna quibble over grants too. By definition, wherever he is buried is his
Well, no, there is a grants too. Just like Washington Monument in DC, he's not buried there.
Yeah, except who was it capitalized?
All right, we have to have.
I'm not gonna get into the specifics. I think you're losing this one, dude.
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
how about half a point?
Uh,
Okay, everyone that's got two or more, raise their hand. 3. 4.
you're starting to doing half points now.
4.5. 5. 6. 5.5. Oh,
Oh, we got a tie.
5 3/4. All right, so we've got 2 winners. And I've got 1 gift card. So we're going to pick a number between 1 and 10. I'm going to tell it to Keegan, and I'm going to ask you guys what your number is.
You're not supposed to whisper.
Okay, what you got?
Yeah,
What you got?
4.
We were at 7.
There you go. Why'd you tell it to me?
That's the only one thing I said.
Okay, gotcha. You didn't pick a favorite.
Okay, there is a purpose for doing this, because one of the things that we do here is, with you build especially, you don't have really a clue what, for the most part, what that means. And what Keegan's gonna show you today is the plan to do it. And then once you see this, you're gonna go, oh, I can do this. I remember one time, I can't remember the person's name, was a couple of years ago, it was an 80-year-old lady. And she did a U-Builder project and finished it in like 6, 7, 8 months. Anybody can do this with the help of you build it and the planning on doing it. What I want to help you do is on the lending side. And so there's lenders, a lot of lenders out there, but there's a big difference between lenders, especially on construction lending. So first thing, and Keegan already mentioned this, what's the most important, what do real estate people say for years? The most important thing about the value of a house is what? 3 things. Location. So we had one where we had the same budget plans and specs, and they went into a first, it was a $225,000 budget. They went into a cookie cutter, big box home, got subdivision, where the builder's building all $220,000 homes. And so it appraised for $220,000. She went to another subdivision, half a mile down the road, where there were more expensive houses in there, and all of a sudden the appraisal went from 200 to 250. So it makes a big difference of where you're building to get you can have the exact same house, but if you put it next to a trailer park home or a cookie cutter home, it's never gonna appraise. You're gonna have the best house in the neighborhood, but you won't have the appraisal value. So the best ways to do this is if you're building in an area, and this is if you're building in the city. If you're building in an area where you're actually, competing against other custom homes, that's where you get the big equity. So it is there, you just gotta make sure, where you're building is in the right place. But appraisal is very important. So what we do on a construction loan is we're going to lend you up to 90% of what it appraises for. So Keegan wants you, he's gonna be able to price it to where you're at 80%, and then we're gonna make sure, we'll have some extra contingency money in case people change their mind on what they want, or if prices go up, we'll put in a contingency. We can lend 90% of the appraised value. So if you own your land, that's like falling, like Keegan said, it's like falling off a chair. Even if you owe on it, you still are gonna get some equity on that. But, and then what we'll do is as you do your project, you're gonna submit a draw request for what's been done, and then we will send you a check so you can, into your account, so you can pay your subs that week for what they've done. Right now, what is one of the weird things about building or buying a house right now? What's slowing everything down? Interest rates. I've been doing this a long time, and one thing about interest rates that we can count on, they go up and they go down, and they go up and they go down. We're not gonna be at these rates for forever. So I'm kind of hearing from the people in the glass towers and the smoking rooms that they think that by next summer, rates are gonna be back in the fives, which is not the threes we're used to be, but it's way better than 7 or 8 or 9.
And
Like
18.
like they are now, or 18 back when we were first doing it. So they will come down, so don't let that be something that kills you. The other thing about with me, and I've done this for 20 years, whenever I have a customer, we'll always do no-cost refinances to get the rate lower. So it's not like every time you rates drop, oh crap, I gotta spend $4,000, $5,000 to refinance. I work it out to where you don't have to pay for anything. So just know, don't let that be, right, that's the biggest thing some people think, but right now, don't worry about that, because rates are gonna come back down, and you're not stuck at whatever rate that you have. There's 2 ways you can do it. You can do a 2-time close, where you do a construction loan, and then at the end, you do a permanent financing, or there's, the other option we have is doing a 1-time close, where you close on the first and the second all in one up front. You don't have to qualify again, and then, whatever the rate is at the time, if it's lower than the construction rate, you get to float down to the lower rate. Does that make sense? So you're not stuck at what these rates are right now, even though if we start building and the construction rates are high, it's not gonna seem that high as you're building, because it's not like you do a $300,000 house and you're paying 9% interest, because that's a big number. But in a construction loan, you only pay interest only based on how much has been borrowed. So the first month, the payment might be $100. Second month, maybe $300, and they'll go up as you build. So it won't ever seem to you like, oh my gosh, the payments are so high. Okay?
Can you lend for like more than just the house, like an outbuilding or something?
Yeah, the appraisal is gonna be based on the value with everything on that land there. So he's gonna come look at your land with whatever outbuildings you have, with whatever fencing you have, and he's gonna get a copy of your budget and plans, and he's gonna compare that to other houses like that, and that'll all be rolled into what your appraised value is.
Well, and to hit on your question a little bit more, ma'am, I can build anything into your budget. So I can build a $30,000 or $60,000 shop fund. I can do it with a pool, barn. Yeah, sorry, not a shop. Apologies. Yeah. How dare I? So a barn, a pool, whatever you need. And what a lot of my clients will end up doing, as Doug mentioned, is we're going to work to have your budget at 80% of the appraised value, but Doug's going to loan you 90, so you can have 10% of, oh, COVID hit again, or this or that you can always dive into. A lot of my clients will end up using those funds to build some of those outbuildings and everything to add value and go through it all as well.
Or an outdoor fireplace at the end, or, now pools, you mentioned pools. Pools, you spend $150,000 on a pool, it's not gonna help your appraisal by $150,000. It's one of those weird things. So that's a different animal, but as much as we can lend up to 90% of what that is. And they can even be used for, if you have a theater room, for your theater room equipment, and stuff like that. furniture. You know, whatever you want to use it for at the end, it's very handy to have that extra money there at the end. Yes, sir.
What's the difference between a construction loan rates and your finance, mortgage rates? Like,
Well, there is a difference, that's a great question. The answer is they're both ugly right now. A permanent, you're purchasing a house right now on a 30-year fix with perfect credit, you're gonna be in the low sevens. Construction rates range
That's not bad.
anywhere from 8.5% to 10%, depending on which bank that you go. But again, on the construction part, it's not as big a difference as it is at the end. That's when the rate becomes a big difference. But ours right now, I think we're at prime plus, we're probably 8.5 or something. So we're gonna be on the lower spectrum of it. I had one person check with the bank and they came back and said it was 10.5. So.
Oh,
Last thing I want to talk about that is important, credit. You have to minimal credit score on a construction loan, this is pretty much with most lenders, is 680. But really, we want you to be, 700 or more. You build it, or even any builder, if you wanted to waste money going to the builder, you're still gonna have to have the credit score. It will help you get that up as you go. So if you do, one thing, if you do a 2-time close and your score is 680, well, we wanna help you get up to 720 by the time your permanent rate is, so you can have that the lowest possible rate. On a 1-time close, it doesn't really matter as much, but it still will affect, when you float down, you'll float down to where your credit score lets you, where you are in the matrix, between credit score and debt ratio and all that stuff. So, covered a lot of stuff real quick. Any questions on the financing part?
Okay, so you talked about the 2-time close, and then you also talked about being able to lower your interest rate with a, let's say, no cash refinance.
Yeah.
Are they not the same concept? Like, why would I choose one over the other?
Well, you don't choose a 2-time close versus a no-cost refi. You choose a 2-time close or 1-time close. And for your specific project, we'd go over both options and see which one best fits you. But once we get your house done and rates drop, then we're gonna call you up, or you're gonna call me and say, hey Doug, can we do the no-cost refi now? And I'll check it out, make sure we can, and then we'll just refinance it with no cost.
Okay, I guess in my head, I was thinking that if I did the 1-time close and I called you up.
Oh, it's still the same
Yeah.
thing.
It
Well,
starts to look like the
If
2-time
rates drop,
close.
if you do the 1-time close and the rate's 8.5 or 9% during construction,
Mhm.
you're capped, you're protected. So if rates keep going up for some reason,
Okay,
to 10 or 12%, you're protected at the
Okay.
9. But if the rates drop to 5, like we think they will,
Second
then you
close.
get to float down. Well, it's not a close, you only close once. But you'll what's called modify your loan at the end.
which is a fancy bank term for closing. Yeah, there you go.
Well, close, meaning you don't have to go to the title company, you don't have to get all the documents again.
understood.
As long as you're done with the project under 12 months, then they send you a piece of paper saying, what do you want your final loan amount to be? Here's your float down options. You sign it, send it in, and it's done.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different than a,
And second question, do you do VA loans?
yes.
Okay.
Is the rate any lower for it?
Yeah, rates are always low for VA. But it's not always the best option. You can have as many as you want as long as you have eligibility. But VA is not always the best option. If you're at 80% on we're keeping to get you at 80%, well, let me put it this way, if you're a VA with a disability, then that's always gonna be the best rate. If you're a VA and you don't have at least a 10% disability, then when you build a $300,000 house and you got a 3% VA funding fee, so that's $10,000 you're paying extra to do the VA loan. You don't have PMI, but, so if you're under 80% or close, you don't wanna pay $10,000 to the VA to do a VA loan. You're already 80% or under, and the rates aren't that much different. There was a time there was a big difference, but right now there's not that much difference. But if you were 100%, didn't have any money put down, VA is the way to go. But you're gonna have equity in this. So a lot of people that say, let's check my VA, and we look at them both, we look at the numbers, because I'll show you all the numbers for all the programs, you'll say, oh no, let's do it. Good questions. Any more, sir?
So you said during the construction phase, you're locked in, you're protected
Yes.
against rates.
On a
What if the
one-time
rates- Okay, what if the rates go down? Can you refinance with the?
You don't have to refinance, because at the end, when you're done, you can float down to what the rate is, the market rate. Once you close on the one-time close, that'll be the same rate, 8.5 until you finish your construction. Then if rates are at 5.5, then you'll float down to 5.5 at the end. You don't have to refinance, it's just part of the
And just to
modification.
define at the end is when the construction loan turns into a mortgage.
Yes, when your house is done, you got your certificate of occupancy, unless you're in the county, you don't need that. Then at that point, that's where at modifications, where we add and roll in your escrows, your taxes and your insurance, and have your full payment. Because remember, during construction, you're paying just interest only. So when you're done, then we modify it and set it back up to where you pay principal and interest, taxes and insurance, the full PITI.
So construction mortgage, yeah.
Yeah, so,
All these loan options are the same for, remodeling, so.
yes.
One of the conditions we were in construction loan is about like builders risk insurance. You get that builders risk.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
It'll be in your budget, just put it in the budget, don't you?
Yeah, we budget in for builder's risk insurance and all those coverages you'll need just to CYA during your build. Absolutely.
Have you been in a situation when somebody's had like bad industry that you know,
I've never not gotten builder's risk insurance, no.
I've
Yeah.
been here for 20 years.
Uh-huh. I've been doing it for 9. So, no, I've never. Plus, there's ways around that if we need to.
He's a young whippersnapper.
Hey, there you go. I had a full head of hair when I met Doug. Yeah. Uh-huh.
One more, I'm not sure if this is for you or Keegan. When I hear the term appraisal, I think of it as like the value assessed or something. How do you get an appraisal on a house that's being built?
It's a great question. So what we'll do, and as we walk through this, it'll all kind of start to solidify for you. But as we go through planning, at the very end, we're going to have your specs, a 12-page budget built, your design, your land information, everything we're going to need to know about the house and what we're building, lined out and on paper. And what we do is we submit that package to Doug, and they hire they outsource a appraiser, and they give them all those documents, and they drive out to your land, use those documents, and say, if this house was standing here today, it would be worth X.
Gotcha.
And it's not as much the design of the house that they're looking at as the square footage.
Yeah.
So they're gonna look at the land, the amenities on the land, with a brand new 3,000 square foot house, then they'll go back and look, what sales have an acre with a pool that is 3,000, and then look for the sales over the last year, pick the highest ones of those, and that's what turns into your appraised value.
Okay.
So it's more about square footage than it is about how fancy it is.
Okay.
Right, if you're gonna build a home, and you're gonna pay about half of it cash,
Yeah.
you're gonna loan for the other half. Do I spend your money first, or do I spend my money first?
Great question. Always, you will spend your money first, so you don't accrue any interest until you start drawing from your construction loan. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, if you build a $400,000 home, and you wanna and you're gonna put $200,000 towards it, then you'll bring to closing the $200,000, we'll put it in a escrow account, and then your first draws will empty out the escrow account before we ever touch any of our money, so you don't pay any interest until your money has been used.
But I have to secure that, your
Yes.
money first.
Yeah, because we've got to make sure our arms are around enough guarantee that we've got enough money so we'll be able to finish the house.
Oh, I didn't understand her question about insurance. Can you insure a bill
Yes.
for theft, fire?
Yeah, it's
storm?
called, it's builder's risk. And builder's risk is fairly inexpensive, usually about $1,000 for a
Year.
$3,000 house for a year. And, yeah, that'll cover anything, just like your homeowner's insurance. It really, all builder's risk is homeowners before we move in. So it's the same thing. Now, not all insurance companies carry builder's risk, but Keegan's got a company that,
So would they pay 100%, say on a large theft?
Yeah.
Deductible?
No, so let's say someone comes in and goes, hey, I'm gonna steal your copper wiring for $300 and it's gonna cost you 12. They're gonna cover 100% of that. Only things in those situations, well, you know, in theft, we'll file a police report and then file a claim. I've had fires randomly. I've had wind knock stuff over. All of those things, it completely covers. It's to cover the cost of what you've done so far in your build. So if you're 200 grand in and a tornado comes by and wipes away everything but the slab, the bank and you aren't screwed.
and actually, unlike, you know, Jake at State Farm says he's gonna be there for you, but insurance companies don't always, they try to fight paying stuff. But in my experience, is that, and even my personal experience on the house that I was building, that storm tore up the roof, they paid me way more money than it cost me to redo it. I mean, they were not as hard as normal insurance.
Yes.
So that's just from my experience.
I sold a commercial insurance for 9 years. The builder's risk is usually your insurance for total cost of the project. And
Right.
there's a flat AOP, all of the perils are usually.
Right. Okay, so two things super important I want you to walk away with on this. Three things. Number one, don't worry about the rates. The rates will come back down. It's, you know, a mortgage is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So we'll be there for you, and lower your rates as you go, so don't worry about that. Number two, it's not something we wanna get done within a year, because if you don't get it done within a year, then there's fees that you gotta pay to extend it. What do you building customers building houses in, right? You know, post-COVID, post-labor shortage, post-material.
Because it's so much easier to build right now, which is a huge benefit. 9 months, 8 to 9 months, I'd tell you. I've had clients do it as quick as 6 if you're really running and gunning, but 9 months covers you.
So what I'm saying is, you wanna do it as quick as you can for your purpose, because you don't wanna just keep paying interest on construction. You wanna get it into a mortgage and get it in your house. So 12 months after that, there's penalties for going past that.
Is there options with the You Build It program where like if you had a structure that was really just probably run down and possibly condemnable even, you know what I mean? Like we started out with a structure like that, could we do small projects like one contract at a time, if you build it, or does it need to be the entire, you know, finished? Yeah, because, you know, the goal is the equity and, you know, the long-term relationship and, you know, financing and whatnot.
I'll jump in on this one.
Like if we had a home that just, you know, really needed a huge facelift, you know, and hopefully not a total tear down, like could we do like 2 to 3 projects over, you know, just the course of time rather than doing one large project?
Yes.
So-
There, it is now. Find one of me or one of my planning consultants after one of me. There's only one. Yeah. Find me or one of my planning consultants afterwards. They're actually wearing matching shirts, which I find is hilarious today. So look for those two gentlemen and walk them through your specifics, because there are ways to structure that with you remodel it. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
And last thing is when you do your budget, which is gonna become what you use for your draw schedule, the budget, we really don't want the budget to budge. So if you when you go into your spec meeting, which Keegan will explain this later, and you say, because you're going, I'm gonna save as much money as I can, and you tell the guy sitting across from you, we'll do Formica because we wanna save on it. So he puts in $3,000, but then you start thinking about it, you know, this is gonna be my forever home. Honey, please, let's blah, blah. Then you put the granite, and all of a sudden you're at 8,000. We want that. So be realistic when you do your budget, because the budget during construction is the most important thing, and it's something that you guys do control. We'll have contingency just in case, because I'd say probably 100% of people go over budget. So
So do you have like designers then that come in and help with that?
he does.
I'll let you transition out. Thank you, Doug.
Okay,
Yay.
one thing. I got a little thing just to stretch for a second. Everyone stand up. can't stand up. Dog, you don't have to stand up. Okay, when I take my hands and I cross over, I want to hear a clap. You ready? You guys are very good. You ready? I always get a standing ovation.
Bankers in their egos, man. I can't fix it. You're all the same. That's funny. And I always just want to do this because I don't have one framer. I don't have one concrete guy. I have multiple. So if anyone here is like, oh, we don't like Doug, he's too tall, and you want to use someone else, we do have people available to you. But I've worked with Doug for a very long time. He does a great job servicing our clients and has phenomenal U-Build-It experience. Perfect. Lending. Nailed it. Cool. I'll fly. Project land. Who here owns land? Oh, goodness gracious. Free hugs. You're going to get, boom, nailed it. You guys look like you need to take notes. There we go. Here we go. I missed people. Sorry, I've got extra stuff. You guys don't need anything. You got cool beards. Project land. I'm glad you guys own land. Thank you. It's great. If you do not own land, no worries. I'd probably say a third of our clients start the planning process without owning property. What we want to do on the project land side is we want to walk your property with you as a builder. I am a terrible realtor. What I see on Zillow is what you see on Zillow. What you see on realtor.com, landwatch.com is what I see. Now, I try to always take a look and see what's out there and send you places that we know we're building and everything to keep you advised. The two ways we want to advise you on land is we don't want you to buy more land than what your house can carry. And what I mean by that is you build a 2,000 square foot house on a $150,000 lot. I don't care if it's in Edmond. That house cannot carry that much land. It's too much land for the size of home. If you build a 2,000 square foot house on 60 acre or $60,000 worth of land in Choctaw, we've got it all day. So you have to build the size of home relative to your land or you lose equity. A general rule of thumb that I hold for people that don't have land is you want to keep your property at about $40 a square foot of your livable footage. So if we're building a 3,000 square foot house, we want you to stay around $120,000 in your dirt. If you're building a 1,500 square foot house, I'd like you to stay around $60,000 max in your dirt, so you don't lose your equity in your property. Now, if you look at me and say, Keegan, I want 20 acres and shut up, it's my house, done. Beautiful. Spend your money the way you want to spend it. So land, and then the main thing is we want to come walk your property with you to just go over how's it going to cost to build on this land. How long's our driveway? Tin horn, electric company, well, septic, water, sewer. How far back are we building from the electrical service and how does that cost? Are you wanting to bury it? Do we have any falls? Should we look at a walkout basement? Should we look at a split level? Do you want to bring it up? Are we looking at retaining walls? I want to get you the cost it's going to take to develop that land so you know your true cost of your dirt before you ever make a purchase or you ever do anything. And if you've got property, we just want to come make the notes, make sure we're budgeting the right things for all of it. Any questions on land? Nailed it. It's the easiest slide. Plans. Who here has plans? Okay, you don't deserve anything more. Yeah, yeah, there you go. Well, all right, cool. Well, I'm glad you guys got plans. If you do not have plans, we've got options. I have a custom design firm here that will draw you plans for a new home or a remodel. They charge $2,500 for a fully custom plan. That's 10 revisions, roof plan, elevations, floor plan, plot plan, everything we need to build your house, one redraw. They draw it in Chief Architect, which I like because it's a 3D program. It lines out your roof, all of those details, which is very handy. I know your house is buildable before we ever start. If You own plans, it's perfect, that's fine. Can anyone tell me what the most expensive feature on your home is?
I would say concrete.
Concrete, it's an expensive, you spend a lot of money on concrete.
Finishing.
Finishing, you're absolutely correct, yes. Any other guesses? Labor, you're 1,000% correct. And you can do very cost-effective labor, very expensive labor. It can vary a ton. Your most expensive feature on anything you do in new construction is your design. I want everyone to take out a notepad and draw a triangle. And in one corner of the triangle, I want you to write cost. One corner of the triangle, I want you to write features. And one corner of the triangle, I want you to write out size. And trust me, as we go through this process, you're going to look at me at the end and say, if you bring up this dang triangle one more time, you're going to punch me. This is our motto. This is what we live and breathe by. You can only control two. Is once I control one corner, in the other corner, I cannot dictate where this one meets. So if you picked cost and size, you cannot control your features. They are dictated. If you pick features and cost, you cannot control your size. Be extreme here for fun. Keegan, I got 300 grand and I need 4,000 square feet. Done. You've got one bathroom. You've got no garage. It's 8-foot ceilings. It's a rectangle. It's gravel on the way up. But I got you there. Our job with you in planning and design, because the main thing we do in design is I want to educate you as to the cost to build your house. I want to show you where your money's going. How much is your garage square footage? How much is a wraparound porch? What is a gable and what does it cost? What is a 12-12 versus an 8-12 roof pitch? 8-foot versus 10-foot ceilings. And I want to put dollars to all these features so you can pick and choose where you want to spend your money.
So you can do that kind of thing before you ever engage the architect?
No. I can review rough designs with you if you're like, hey, I love this floor plan on Cool House.
Well, so you're still trying to do an analysis, right, of, do I just want to make the kitchen bigger, or do I want to go bigger and, add a little more for this? And you're trying to do those trade-offs in your head. Do you guys help with that?
Absolutely. And that is what we'll do in these design meetings, because while you're designing, and that's why it's handy to go with the custom path, not that you have to, but we can have multiple meetings from draft 1 to draft 8 going, okay, here's what your house is costing right now, and here's where your money's going. What do you think? Do we want to move this? Do we want to shrink on this? Do we want to add here? What would it cost to make your bedrooms bigger? All of those details. So working with you to gather an economical design to fit your budget and your goals. Yes, ma'am. Cheap footage. Does anyone know what I mean by cheap footage?
Unfinished placement.
Yes, yes. Cheap footage. A lot of people out there act like a square foot is a square foot. It is not. Your kitchen costs almost $1,000 a square foot. Your living room costs $80 a square foot. It's basic math. You build an 1,800 square foot house or a 2,500 square foot house. My price per foot to build this home, the larger home, will be much less. Because if you break it down in both homes, I'll have the same garage, the same water, the same sewer, the same porches, the same amount of bathrooms, the same kitchen, the same laundry. 80% of the things that cost you money in your home will stay the same. In this floor plan, you gave me 700 feet of cheap footage. Bigger bedrooms, bigger living room, a dining room, a bonus room, whatever. Spaces that I can build for less than $80 a foot. Cheap footage is 100% something we want to look into as we work with you on your design to help you gain maximum space for your dollar as well, because it does exist, and it also helps our value. Because if I build a small home at $145 a foot, I'm much better off to build a little bit bigger home at $130. You gain that much more value because they're going to appraise for the same. Any questions on design? Yes, sir.
I have a question about plans. So if the previous builder that we were thinking about going through was a good bit over $200 square foot.
Whew,
So
fancy.
the plans that we had, we kept trying to scale it back, scale it back, scale it back. If we wanted to, I say, draw new plans, would we get any credit, or with your team, can they use our plans to save us money on the 2,500, or were they just gonna have to scrap it and start their own?
There's potentially some things we can do there.
Bob has been giving a 20% discount for people that have prior plans that we're working on.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
You got a gift from the boss himself. Oh, yeah, there you are. Yeah, the only thing we have to do is I got to change your plans by 10% or more so that designer doesn't sue our designers for intellectual property.
Okay.
Yeah. Perfect.
When you're talking square footage, are you?
Yes, sir.
The price of the land in that square footage? Like $130 per square foot. Is that including the land as well, or is it just strictly built cost?
Typically not, no sir. My average price per foot right now, because just to lead through that as I just throw random numbers out, my average price per foot right now, and of course, it's the triangle. You can go crazy. I've got some people that spend 35 grand in appliances, you know. There's very high-end things you can do. But if you look at me and say, I want to build a good home, strong bones, good insulation, with pretty features, it's about 120 to 140 bucks a foot. Now, can we build less? Of course. Can you build more? Of course. But that is without you doing any sweat equity and just with, you know, granite and quartz countertops, good stuff. Fireplaces, yada, yada. All right. Cool. Design. Perfect. Specification. I've asked all the questions I want to ask. Yeah, I have. Yay. Specification. This is where we do our bread and butter for you in planning. This is where we make it feasible. When we start planning, I'm going to give you a list to go shopping. I want you to go look at your flooring. I want you to go look at countertops. I want you to go look at cabinets. I want you to go look at shingles, exterior doors, all of these things. And a huge benefit place where I'm going to be able to save you money is we are blessed to be the largest custom home builder in the state. We do about 300 projects a year statewide. So you will be able to buy labor and material at our price and gather those discounts, which can be very, very handy. So we're going to send you shopping at all of those preferred vendors. You do not have to use them. If you look at me and say, hey, John and I went to high school, he's going to do my HVAC at cost. Perfect. Let's save money. That is how we base our fees, to go by square footage versus percentage. So if we spend less, it's just more money that you save. I could care less as to what features you pick in your home. Specification, that is a day where you and your spouse, partner will come in for 6 hours to 8 hours. We will have a final plan. We will have seen your land. We will be ready to go. And we are going to build your house on paper. The thickness of texture on your walls, the height of your baseboard, paint grade or stain grade trim, what countertops did you like and what was the price per square foot, what kind of flooring do you want in here, your stone, do you want it normal, do you want dry stack, what color of mortar do you want on your brick, because that matters, all of these details in your home. So we know exactly what you're roughly going to spend and where. From there, at some point, about 5 to 6 hours in, we'll break, let you go out for lunch, catch your breath, and we're going to build a 12-page Excel spreadsheet budget, breaking out all labor and material on your home. From there, you're going to come in and review. We're going to have drywall labor, drywall material, brick, stone, blah, 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 and go, okay, these are all the features that you put into your home. These are the square footages and amounts and takeoffs from your house. What do you think, and are you good? From there, as we tweak that and get that perfect, we'll send everything to your lender at that time, but we'll also During that time, you're going through your specification meeting, move into bidding. Because with You Build It, you do not have to go find your own subs and suppliers. That is one thing that we want to take onto our plate and do for you. So we are going to go and use those specs, your plans, everything that we've collected, and bid your entire project out. Get framing bids, electrical bids, roofing, concrete, sheetrock, paint, trim, masonry, cabinets, windows, doors.
Does that include demo of parts that you need?
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Demo of your remodel?
Yeah. No, demo on your remodel. Remodel, phenomenal point to bring up. Remodel bidding is actually done at the project. So new home is bid out in office through email and meetings because nothing's there. Remodel, we take subs to your property to see the work, review the scope, and get hard bids that way so they can see what we're working on.
So if you have a house on your property right now, that you probably just want to wipe it out, start all over from the ground up, you can do that.
Absolutely. We demo probably 4 to 5 homes a year. Yeah.
So if you are living in an existing home, but you're planning on moving it out and the house is built, is there a problem with living on the land or how the house is being built?
Not at all. No, not at all. We'll probably, if there's a loan on the existing house, have to pay it off. Okay, then no, you can absolutely do that. We can tear it down. If it's a mobile home or trailer type, you can sell it at the end. Extremely doable. We do that all the time. Perfect. There you go.
Mobile home off the property before you can modify or do your permanent financing at the end.
Okay.
Yep.
Just before you close, okay.
You can move in, sell or pull it off, then you can close, but you can't have to have the property at the time, this family doesn't allow that.
After it closes. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you vet your subcontractors?
It's a phenomenal question. Thank you. I'm going to answer it 2 ways, and one I'll do it the long way. Every sub that we allow into our network must provide general liability and workman's comp insurance first and foremost. They must show their work and workers are covered, so that way y'all are covered. Then from there, we must have referrals, and my field consultants must have gone and seen their work to make sure it is of quality. So that is how a new sub can come into our network. The second way I will answer that is we are so blessed to have a great sub base to where, golly, I've known the majority of them for as long as I've been here and before. Because we're the best thing to happen to some subcontractors and suppliers, consistent work with great clients, and a good sub is worth all the tea in China, to where I can look at you and say, this framer is a man of his word and he's insured and he's going to do his job for you. So we have a phenomenal base, and really the biggest way we find subs now is truly through our clients. A lot of people will have a friend that does this, that they hire, and we see the quality, HVAC, electrical, framing, concrete. So a lot of them are very deep embedded with us and our system, and we do make sure we go through the proper steps to ensure your security and safety before you hire anybody as well.
Do you provide any protections or recourse for, say, somebody didn't meet a date, or is it, quality's there and it's not, anything, like, do you guys help with that? Or?
Absolutely. Our main thing that we tell you is, so to kind of bounce forward a little bit, because we're nearing the end of planning, as we get into construction, you will be assigned a field consultant. And his job is to have over 20 years of construction experience, most of them more. They're all old, like Scott out here. Sorry, I'm just teasing. But his job will be to meet you out at your project 25 set specific times with the You Build It standard program. And through those 25 set specific times, he is going to do a detailed review and preview with you. Review the work that was done, review, make sure things were done properly, preview the work to come so you can see your next steps. And there will be checklists to review at each one of those site visits to make sure we're leaving no stone left unturned to go through. One very important thing that we do at those site visits is tell you when it's okay to pay a sub and when that sub needs to come back and complete X, Y, and Z before he receives a check. And that's truly the main protection, is do not pay anybody until your field consultant has given you the thumbs up. Yes, sir. Very cool. So job costing, once all your bids are in, it should be close to when your appraisal's back, everything. So it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to get it all bid out. We'll sit down, review those numbers, compare it to your estimated budget, make sure we got the right money in the right places. Yay, we finished planning. Construction phase. During planning, and why it takes so long, is we build a book this big. This is your guide throughout construction. It's also a workout tool. It comes with the tape. Within this book, you'll have all your bids, all your spec sheets, all of your details we've done in planning. You will have a custom-built schedule, so you know the next steps, what is next, how it flows, how it works. You will also have your 25 set checklists to go through at each stage, custom-built for you and your project. Because of course, if we're doing a post-tension foundation or a basement or 2x4, 2x6 walls, all those things change. So it'll be custom-built for you, to make sure that you have everything on paper to build your house, as well as a field consultant to guide you through the entire process. Perfect. Any questions on the manual?
So you're actually calling the sub and saying, you be there, and he's calling you and saying, I got to push back in 2 weeks. The on the home or
Yes, sir. Yes, you will be the one calling and scheduling and organizing. So,
talking to the framer about, we want 2x6 walls here, we want.
absolutely. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Your
Are your subs like consistent and like, so I remember having some damage to my home like in 2012.
yes, ma'am.
And the electrician that was that the insurance company kind of worked, and we got, it took him like 4 months to kind of do his work, not the electrician, the plumber. Like 4 months because he kept putting me off to do commercial work. And so he'd be like, well, I can come tomorrow, and then he'd come and do a little bit. And then he'd be gone, and I wouldn't see him for a week because he had some commercial job that was more important than me.
And a lot more money.
And
Yeah.
I was very frustrated by the end of that whole process.
Now, that's a perfect example of the security that you'll get with us. Because when you hire a sub with the You Build It name backing you, you're not just a one-off doing a remodel, a new home. This plumber wants more of our jobs and has a long, deep work relationship with us, to where if you're running into those issues, we're able to solve things with you, which is a very, very huge benefit to it all. And you also, to hit on a side note with that, because I forgot when Doug was talking about interest rates, your biggest benefit in today's market with interest rates is my costs have come down. Lumber's been cut in half since this time last year. Last year in the summer, we were budgeting 25 bucks a foot for lumber. Now we're doing 13. It's more than in half, which is phenomenal and very, very exciting. Yeah, it's come down dramatically, which is handy. But my labor's also a lot more aggressive than what it was. In stages in COVID, it was certain too, I'd look at some framers and go, what do you want to charge? You know, it's always begging. At this stage, my subs are more aggressive, hungry to do the work, earn the work, because there's less homes being built. And that's why I prefer this market versus a low interest rate, high volume, because I can never take 30 grand out of your mortgage, but I can always lower your interest rate. Build when it's cheap, build when it's cost effective, worry about the rate later. So that's my favorite part about today is your subs are more aggressive, it's easier to control everything, and we've got better pricing than what we have in 2 to 3 years.
So in your construction span of
Mhm.
9 months, say whatever, how much do you allow for weather things? Because you're gonna have rain.
Oh, yeah.
Where they can't work. Is that figured in there?
It is, because I usually expect a month to 2 months, depending on the season you start construction. You know, if we're trying to pour a slab in the spring, expect to get rained out a few times, especially this spring. Ugh. Yeah. Yeah, so it depends on the season a little bit of what we're building. But yeah, I expect a month or two to where it's too cold to work outside, or we can't paint, or it's raining too much, or this or that. Absolutely in that time frame.
You could possibly finish that.
The fastest I've ever had someone build is 16 weeks. Mm-hmm. Yep.
How big a house?
1,800 feet in Ponca City. Yeah. She was pregnant. That's my joke. No one builds a house faster than a pregnant woman. Yeah. That and someone living in a camper. Yeah. Yep. So,
That may be what we're doing if we're bringing the wife on.
that's good motivation. Keep your wife on you right there. Oh. So,
How do you guys make your money?
I've been waiting for that question. You get the cool thermos. All right, there you go. Yeah, you can give that to someone else, or you can have two. You're welcome. How we make our money. And I'll go new home and remodel, and then I also need to explain the U-Build Plus a little bit. We have 2 fees. I have an engagement fee of $5,000. So the day you look at me and say, Keegan, you build it's the right fit, we want to get started, we're ready to work with you. We charge $5,000. And really it's truly because my overhead and planning can be upwards of $20,000 depending on the project. I need skin in the game from you. I need to know you're as committed to us as we are to you.
Is that for remodels too, or is that just for?
That is for remodels as well. It is across the board. Now, if your remodel is small, if we're talking a kitchen and a bathroom, talk to me specifically, but most remodels, that is the case, yes, sir. New homes, we charge $7.85 a square foot under roof. So that is garage, porches, and livable footage. The reason we charge by the square foot is I want you to know as to what you do, I do not care. And I don't mean that like, hey, here's a book, have fun. But if you do stained concrete floors at $2 a foot, or you do hardwood floors at $12, I make the same. If you do brick and stone versus brick and siding, I make the same. If you do a architectural shingle or an impact resistant shingle or a metal roof, we make the same. I want you to know I'm never going to try to push you towards a more expensive sub, more expensive feature to increase our fee. It's not in our, I would never do that honestly anyways, but it's not in our setup.
So I assume that doesn't mean like attic space, but what about unfinished space?
Unfinished space is one of those fine lines of how unfinished. You know, when you look at me and say, I'm putting a bathroom up there, I'm wiring it and HVAC in it, yeah, it's part. But if you're just putting I-beams upstairs, I don't care. Yeah. Yes, sir.
So 5,000 plus 780 square foot?
Yes, sir. $785 a foot. Remodels, we charge 20% of labor and material projected cost. Remodels and additions, I should say.
So is this 5,000 before you determine if the person has a realistic budget?
So that's a phenomenal question. Before anyone writes us a check, I'd like you to come in for a one-on-one. Of course, you're going to leave this meeting, honestly, with too much info that you probably can't retain of what we do. So you're going to know that and see if it's a fit for you. I want you to have a one-on-one with one of my planning consultants just to review your project. You know, I want to look at your plans. I want to review how much you're wanting to add on. I want to review what type of remodel, what specific unfinished base or bonus room that you're wanting to do, so we can make sure you have realistic goals. Because
20% labor.
in material projected cost, yes ma'am. Yes sir.
You mentioned the average, square foot price you guys do is 120, 140. Is that including the 785?
Every number I will always quote you includes my fees. Yes. And if you are a remodel or an addition here, I would also like to possibly come look at your home and what you're wanting to do before you do the engagement fee. Because yeah, here's the thing I will always tell people. I can't pay this place's bills off $5,000 checks. I don't mean that like arrogantly or anything. If I can't get you to construction, please do not give me your money. I want to make sure we're looking at a realistic goal together before we ever start. For your ease, our ease, and just the flow of everything. Yes, sir.
As far as the 785, I think you were possibly maybe getting there. So we've met, we've exchanged $5,000, and they know we were gonna do it. The 785, how is that paid to you? Like, is that with the draws or at the end when it turns into a mortgage?
Phenomenal question. Thank you. It is included in your construction loan, and you pay us as we complete your home. So it comes out of the draws. You just write us checks specifically like a sub as we hit this stage, this stage, this stage throughout your build. All right. Cool. How we save you money. I find this very important. No, the slide's not here. I'm going to have to wing it. Yeah, I skipped it. How funny. How that 20% comes of savings, because I want you to know it's not smoke and mirrors. My fee's less. I haven't met a good general contractor that charges less than 15 to 20%. My fee is much, much less than that. And in all fairness, I do less than a builder. So it needs to be. I'm not out there every day. My buying power is going to save you a good chunk in your process. There's no one buying as much lumber as we do. There's no one hiring a framer as often as we do. All of those details. So I'm going to have phenomenal savings there. Your main thing, and why I always have preferred lenders, why I bring a Doug to this. I require your loan be an owner-builder construction loan. Most banks want you to have a builder to give your money to that builder because he builds stuff and they trust him more than you. I require that you write the checks for labor and material to where if we save, let's play a scenario. Lumber keeps dropping and your builder budgeted 50 grand for lumber and you buy it for 44. Who keeps that $6,000? Your builder would in that situation. Yeah, you're absolutely. In my scenario, Doug sends you the money. I want that $6,000 to be yours. If you go Black Friday shopping on appliances, I want that money to be yours. If you find a family friend to come do this with you on the weekends and you save, I want that money to be yours. So a huge way we're going to do this is eliminate markup by you controlling your own money and controlling all of your decisions. Yes, ma'am.
Is there any, do you guys have like a non-refundable deposits that's when you're signing the contract for building?
Yes, it is the $5,000 engagement fee. That is due when we sign our agreement. All right. Guys, any other additional questions? We got it covered. There is a house on Coffee Creek in Rockwell, 6 miles from here. If there's flyers right there for it, the U-Build It Plus. If you do not have 10 to 15 hours a week to where you want to GC your own home, holler at me. I have a You Build It Plus program to where you hire us to be more than your consultant. You hire us to be your project manager, to where instead of you calling the framer, we call the framer. Instead of you calling the plumber, we call the plumber. We do the day-to-day operations with you. It's not my favorite program because I like to save you money. That's kind of my bread and butter. That's why you're here. However, I will do it so I can still earn your business and you'll still save in other areas as well.
I don't have any cards to pass out to you because they're not made yet, because I'm starting with a new company. So my number is 405.
We just write it on the board.
Do you remember what it is?
405-819-1166. I've called you more than I've called my wife some weeks, man. Yeah. Where's my closings? Yeah.
Say that phone number a little slower.
405 819 1166.
You said it's Doug what?
Doug Ogburn, OGB-URN, and I'm out banker's hours, so evenings, weekends, holidays, if you got a question, feel free to call.
Except for me. He doesn't pick up after 5 p.m. on Fridays.